Since Brexit, goods have become scarce in Great Britain. The reason for this is the lack of regulations for imports. Minister Frost sees the EU's responsibility to propose a solution. So, slowly David Frost is really getting on my nerves. How much longer do people believe his tirades? The Brexit vote is a heavy burden on the exchange of goods in Great Britain. In the wake of the so-called sausage war, the British government is now increasing the pressure on the EU to find a solution. The proposals from Brussels would have to go beyond merely solving the anger over the import of meat products. Brexit Minister David Frost wants to demand that, according to information from Downing Street in a speech in Lisbon on Tuesday. According to Frost, the EU must now show the ambition and willingness to tackle the fundamental questions at the heart of the so-called Northern Ireland Johnson Protocol directly. Endless negotiations are not an option. Well, the Northern Ireland Johnson and Frosty Protocol provides that the British part of the Irish island will in fact continue to follow the rules of the EU internal market. This is to prevent goods checks on the EU external border between Northern Ireland and the EU member Ireland. Otherwise, it is feared that the conflict will flare up again in the former civil war region. We here in Germany, by the way, call it a civil war. Instead, checks must now be carried out when goods are brought from England, Scotland or Wales to Northern Ireland. This creates problems in intra-UK trade for which London and Brussels hold each other responsible. Frost wants to use the speech in the Portuguese capital, according to the information, to demand significant changes to the post-Brexit agreement, including the role of the European Court of Justice, the ECJ in Northern Ireland. But he won't get rid of it. They are responsible for the withdrawal agreement. The EU should then present proposals for solutions on Wednesday. From London, government circles there, was a threat that Britain could trigger Article 16 of the protocol if the EU proposals were not enough for the British. That would practically overturn parts of the agreement, but they can't. And the EU never did before those guys come back with that one. The exchange of goods between Germany and Great Britain is also experiencing a major change. The car business is giving way. The car factor is an important reason why Great Britain could slip out of the top 10 of the most important German trading partners for the first time since 1950. The federally owned company Germany Trade and Invest found in an analysis, but they're a bit late because they already slipped out of it. Since 2016, the year of the Brexit referendum, the exchange of goods and cars and motor vehicle parts has plummeted by an average of 12.3% per year. That is more than the common foreign trade gave way overall. The importance is also shrinking. While cars and motor vehicles parts still had a share of more than a quarter of the total German-British volume in 2016, it was less than a fifth in 2020. The decline affects all sectors of the industry. Since 2016, exports of German new cars have fallen by an annual average of 14.1%, and new registrations in Great Britain have fallen by an average of 11.8%. As a result, German exports almost halved in value between 2015 and 2020, from 30.4 billion euros to 16.4 billion euros. One reason for the decline is the shift away from combustion engines to alternative drives. The other is that German companies prepared for Brexit and looked for other markets. With the phenomenon being accompanied by a collapse in auto production in both countries, it's clear that this is not an isolated UK problem. However, the lengthy Brexit process has acted as a major source of uncertainty in the British automotive industries, GTAI noted. The German Industry Association VDA also emphasizes the enormous challenges posed by Brexit, despite the last-minute agreement between Great Britain and the EU on a trade agreement on Christmas Eve 2020. The trade has become significantly more complicated and therefore much more expensive, said the Association of the Automotive Industry to the German press agency. There are plenty of examples. In some cases, companies are confronted with legal uncertainty as the British customs authorities are often only able to provide information to a limited extent. This is attributed in particular to overload due to the enormous volume of inquiries, the VDA continued. In addition, there are new bureaucratic requirements, such as the evidence required for customs exemption and the time required to adapt the IT systems. New only for the UK, not in general for third countries. But it is not just the movement of goods that suffers. Now product approvals and certifications that are required twice in the UK mean considerable additional work for companies. EU certifications can only be used in the UK in a very limited time frame, in a very limited way, until the end of the next year, emphasized the VDA. Finally, the consequences of the corona pandemic were aggravating. Like many industries, the automotive industry had to deal with production downtimes and strained supply chains. A trend reversal is not imminent at the moment. The number of newly registered cars in the UK recently fell to a low. The British Industry Association Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, the SMMT, announced that September was the weakest in more than 20 years, with 215,312 newly registered vehicles. The industry is giving hope, however, to the development of alternative drives. The number of newly registered battery-powered cars reached 32,721 vehicles, its highest monthly level to date, with a market share of 15.2%. The British government wants to ban the production of diesel and fuel cars as early as 2030. But honestly now, David Frost negotiated the withdrawal agreement himself, and Johnson approved it and then signed it. None of them believe for a minute that the EU will allow themselves to be blackmailed into what they want. As long as so many Brexiteers continue to believe these serial liars, as I call them, they will of course continue to play this game of domestic political tactic reasons. The number with the external enemy image has been working since the campaign for Brexit. Unfortunately, I know too well from the history of my own country that the Brexiteers aren't the first to fall for something like this, and I'm sure they won't be the last either. Greetings to Trump, by the way. Britain voted in a democratic vote to harm itself and its economy. Okay, each one can have what he wants, but then you have to live with the consequences of your decision. And that is exactly what is happening right now. For some people, however, the decision in the referendum was based only on the lies that were spread by the Leave campaign, and Boris and Frost get away with all their lies today still, regardless of whether they are proven otherwise. That too is the decision of each individual, fine. And if there are consequences in this direction, well, a little Schadenfreude should be tolerated. I feel sorry for the millions of people that were forced into a very unpleasant situation against their will by this very tight situation. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that you will have to live with it for more than the foreseeable future until a sufficient number of people understand that they have been and are being duped. The Brexit agreements will not be renegotiated. Third country status will remain for the UK, and with it customs checks and bureaucracy that applies to all third countries, with the exception of those that have a much closer contractual relationship with the EU than the UK has today. There would be a very simple solution, but that is not possible under the current government and the number of people voting and believing at the moment, an accession to the customs union of the EU. But I hope nobody believes they would do that. In any case, I don't believe in it. But I would still like to remind all of you, of all the promises made by Boris Johnson, among others, before the referendum. Where are the £350 million a week for the NHS? Where are the hundreds of better free trade agreements? Why are there physical checks in the Irish Sea despite Boris's promises? Why are prices rising faster than wages, although it was promised totally differently? Why is trade not as unrestricted as before, although Boris promised it? According to Boris, the UK is so important that the EU needs it more than the other way round. Sorry, but anyone who still believes Boris Johnson today is irretrievably lost to all common sense. And one more word to those who always demand that I finally give my opinion on the Polexit. Folks, you are here on the wrong channel. For that, you have to look at my Europe channel. I made several videos on that one yet. As far as I know, Poland is not part of the UK now, and that's why we'll not do any video on this channel. But I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.